as other cities. So from our perspective and point of view, what we've essentially been trying to do is we're trying to collaborate and instill and establish a collaborative attitude and mindset in a lot of people, right from the startup side of the things to co-working side of things or to accelerator side of things. Like you said, Delhi has always been an extreme and aggressive city, because of which we've also seen a lot of accelerators moving away from the city. We have had our share of disappointments in the city, but having said that, I'd have to say that Delhi is a major house to a lot of engineering colleges, where we see a lot of potential and promising startups emerging from. And it also, a lot of people already say that, you know, how Bangalore and Delhi complement each other in a way that if you have to look at how they complement is, if you want marketing strength or marketing hustle, you get it from Delhi, and if you want the tech strength, you get the entire tech muscle from Bangalore. And that's how these two cities collaborate and complement with each other. So as much as we say that people have been working in their silos, things are changing the way Rahul said, and they're gradually progressing, and we do see a lot of collaborations happening now and henceforth.
So Hekani, I mean, now going down this order, I'm sorry, I think like a computer scientist, so it only goes one way. So you have the legal view, which is very, very critical. And what do you think is missing in the startup ecosystem? Because I know a lot of people who underestimate essentially the legal side of actually building a company, especially from a product IP standpoint. They miss out a lot of things, and then they start feeling bad. In fact, I was just talking to Jay, who's going to be presenting today at 4 p.m. And he said, like, he went and kind of pitched to some name brand VC, and the next thing he knows is all his ideas were gone. And it was and the funding happened to one of their competitions. So how do people protect themselves? Because people are very, very young and naive in some aspects.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a lawyer by profession, but my legal profession is close somewhere, and now I'm really into something else. And it took me 24 hours to reach here, and my story is really different from what my fellow panelists have shared. So I want to really share my story, because seriously, the question that you asked me is something that I've really not dealt with.
Sure,
I'm not in a position to answer that.
Please.
Yeah.
All I know is that's sort of qualifications. So I thought.
Yeah. I come from Nagaland, from the northeast of India, and my story is really different, like I said, from what they have shared. The wave of entrepreneurship made a very, very late entry to the northeast and to Nagaland. And the government at the center had been neglecting the northeast for a very long time. And because of that, development is very slow. Because of that, there are no private sectors. And this made young people start looking at government sector as a first option, as the first priority. And as the government jobs start saturating, young people started, getting frustrated because there was no job. Unemployment started, really rising at a very drastic rate. And realizing this very disturbing trend, my organization is called Youthnet. We decided to do a very aggressive intervention and see how we could address this. And when we say intervention, I'm not just talking of encouraging private sectors and entrepreneurship, but really starting at the basic of changing the mindset of young people, to start looking at private sectors and to start looking at entrepreneurship as first option. So we had to start somewhere, and as a starter, we came up with this concept, and this was actually, we worked with Dr. Krishna Talipu of Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, and we came up with this program called Impact 5000 by 18, which was also funded by the government of Nagaland. It's a 5-year program, and for us, apart from looking into entrepreneurship, livelihood, private sectors, we're also trying to really look at the ecosystem, basic ecosystem. How do we make entrepreneurship thrive in a situation like ours? Now, when we talk of entrepreneurship, many of them have shared about technology. The first thing that comes to our mind, to anyone's mind, is technology. But in our context, in the context of the Northeast and in the context of Nagaland, the ecosystem for technology has not started as yet. But our young people, determined not to be left behind, we look into resources and areas which is our strength. And that is really looking into food production, food packaging, animal production, handicrafts, handlooms, music. These are the areas that we've been working on. Under this program, apart from the workshops, boot camps, connecting to investors, having intercollegiate entrepreneurship competition, which are all actually, we have very good connections and network with many entrepreneurship gurus like Ravi Jani, Rahul Mechanti. They've been helping us. Apart from that, in order to glamorize entrepreneurship, we also have started this program where we have an entrepreneurship reality show called The Entrepreneur, and this was also co-created and mentored by Rajiv Chandrasekhar of Jupiter Capitals. And so we do programs like this. We also recently launched the Northeast Entrepreneurship Fellowship, where 25 top entrepreneurs of the Northeast have come together for a one-year program. So we are really starting from the basic, you see. When everyone here, people who are attending TiCon today, everyone believes that entrepreneurship is the only answer to creating wealth, to creating jobs, and to take the nation forward. And likewise, we are also trying our best to see how we can take a region forward. But the way we look at entrepreneurship in mainland India and the Northeast is really different. For example, very short example, we also, apart from entrepreneurship programs, we also do a lot of skill building, job placement, job recruitment type of a program. And last year, National Skills Development Corporation gave us an allotment of 300 homestays, training for 300 homestays, because they see potentials in tourism. For mainland India, tourism is a different language altogether, but for the Northeast, again, tourism is different. Luxury hotels and five-star hotels are not going to work in the Northeast. It's like things like homestay that is going to work. But for us, after training these 300 homestays in the Northeast, now we need investors, now we need mentors, now we need experts who can help us and handhold us and take this forward. So I'm really hoping that through this TiCon here in Chandigarh, I'm hoping to meet people who can work together with us and make a success story so that we can share this story maybe in the coming TiCon conferences as well.
We'll touch upon this a little bit later from an impact standpoint, because I think that's a good angle for the Northeast. But I want to throw it open to the floor because we have only half an hour, so at least get 3-4 questions in. So can I have a mic there? Okay. Do you have a mic? It has been delivered.
Hi. Hello. I'm Ahuja.
Can we do it in sequence?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's thank you. But I was having a conversation with Priyanka earlier, specifically about this being TiCon and everything. Lessons from the Valley. Y Combinator has something like a startup school, something more focused, especially in different regions, etc., where you have entrepreneurship building up, where there is a need for an ecosystem. One way of giving back is probably talking about how you have started schools. Like it's a one-day event, very focused, how to pitch, what you need to think about, etc., and all that stuff. Concentrated, super focused, because the conference is great, but it's a little scattered as well. So any comments on that, T-Hub?
So just on a side note, I want to say this. I have the distinction of being part of the first formal entrepreneurship program of India in 1994. It was a 3-year full-time program. I was the topper of the batch. I was expelled. And I was given in writing to be the last person to be an entrepreneur. The joke is I'm the only entrepreneur from all the batches passed out of the entrepreneurship school. So that's my thoughts on it.
I'm not talking about formal education.
So this is a very famous story of Rahul, so you should actually kind of...
I'll catch up with you later on that.
No, I think it's a really good point. I mean, conferences by definition are scattered. They're looking at multiple outcomes for multiple groups of people, so you're never going to get too much out of them. It's more exposure than it is anything else. I was just having a conversation with the guys at Jakhalu University, for example. What happens in an early stage ecosystem is you have a bunch of people who have ideas. They think they want to be an entrepreneur, but they have no idea what that means. it's not just an idea. Ideas are fairly useless in most cases. It's the execution. So how do you first of all validate that it's even worth doing this? Is there a market for it? Are people going to pay you for it? Because it's not a charity, it's not a side project. So there is a need for schools, whether they're online or not, that teach you about those basics. But today, you don't need to depend on, a school of formal education. It's all online. Y Combinator has a startup school. There's at least 15 other places I can tell you that have courses. There's Udemy, there's Udacity, there's n number of these things. So my suggestion to anybody that's looking to start up is that first of all, do your homework. Figure out how to even validate. I get too many people, and I can speak, I'm sure, for everybody on this panel. For people who come to me and go, I've got an idea, how do you help me? I'm like, I'm not helping you. If you can't help yourself, I'm not going to touch you. So it's out there. Go do your homework. Having said that, if you're somebody that is running an incubator or a co-working space, take some of those curricula, do offline sessions with these guys to mentor them on the nuances of what they're learning. So I think there's potential for that, and it will happen in Chandigarh also from the discussions that have been happening.
Good point. And the other thing, actually, so he's in order, so can I, yeah, go ahead.
You were just about to speak something, you can please continue.
Well, actually, what I was trying to kind of say is entrepreneur is pretty natural, okay? And we actually stymie it through our education, number one. Number two, people are not trained to kind of problem solve and visualize, okay? Everything is rote. And entrepreneurship is all about visualizing, how to solve problems. I think we need to do a little bit of that. Doesn't matter what the context is, whether it's like a small ecosystem tourism, which you're talking about, or it's like basically building some other kind of industry in the hospitality space. Unless you visualize, and that's why it's less the idea, the more the execution, right? If you look at Oyo rooms, when they started off, very poor execution. If you look at like Taxi for Sure, idea, very poor execution, right? So that's what I wanted to kind of elaborate. Please go ahead.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mubarak. My question is to Ms. Hekani from Youthnet. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name correct. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Yeah, so I run two companies, a music company and an event management company, and we are also into glamorizing the business as well. So you discussed about glamorizing the business, and you talked about something related to music as well in your entrepreneurship. May I please know what sort of efforts you are putting up into music company or in musical shows? And if possible, in future, I'm always open to join hands.
Thank you, Mubarak. Nagaland is the only state which has declared music as an industry in India. Okay, and that is also because of the vision of our chief minister then about a couple of years back. The Northeast and especially Nagaland is very musically inclined, and every second person knows how to sing or play a musical instrument. And because also the government has declared that as a music industry, it's a policy of the government itself, and we have lots of music. So every parent wants to send their children to a music school. So we have academies. We have also partnered with a couple of other, not necessarily music companies, but musicians to go out and because now we're looking at employment. We're talking about livelihood. So many of our young people also go to cities where they are, music performers, and they're doing extremely well, which are all supported by the government at this point of time.
Okay, well, mine is a non-profitable company under which we release new artists worldwide free of cost, starting from iTunes, southandghana.com, just to support and promote their talent.
Sure.
If in any possible way it's possible to join hands in future, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Please.
A very good afternoon, everyone, and thanks a lot for being here. My name is Shivam Gupta. I own a software development company in Chandigarh, and wherein we're working with entrepreneurs who want to have tech-enabled startups, mobile and web-based, or having integrations. So we're working with a lot of companies outside of India who can be at a very initial stage, where they just want to have a proof of concept, to people who have already had a validation with their idea and are wanting a much more advanced solution compared to having IoT solutions or data analytics in that advanced. Now, I have two questions. One is open to the panel. Srini, you talked about that while building an ecosystem, you need to learn what exactly is needed by the founders, by the key people who are involved in the entire process. Now, for the past 1 year, we have had an experience of having expertise in mobile and web development, though we also want to extend further than that. Let's say a company operating within branding or creating logos. We want to extend those services to our clients. My question is, while we're looking towards collaborations as a company with individual companies, how exactly to establish that collaboration with different companies, what to go for, because the major challenge is, I always foresee is like everybody in India thinks business, right? So when you reach out to them, automatically the numbers